gentlemen, my name is James Owusu Ansah. I am Director of Communications for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Africa West area. And my job this morning is pretty simple. It is to introduce the Masters of Ceremony for this August occasion, which is Strengthening Families Conference. The lead MC, anchor, and moderator is a renowned Nigerian who has won several awards, including the prestigious NMMA Best Newscaster of the Year 1995. She also anchored the NTA flagship network news for 17 years and retired from public service at the height or peak of a career as Executive Director Programs, having served meritoriously for 34 years. She is a judge on the National Maltina Teachers Award and the OFAB Media Award. She is a visiting consultant at the Bingham University and also a council member of Veritas University. She is a member of the National Media Complaints Commission and a board member of the Savannah Center for Diplomacy, Democracy, and Development. Over and above other things, she is a multimedia strategist and media consultant, columnist, and an author. In fact, she is a much sought-after compere and a high-level moderator and facilitator, both home and abroad. If you care to know, she was the compere for inauguration of President Yaradua and President Goodluck Jonathan. She also compared the inauguration of the dinner of President Buhari, and most recently, in 2023, she anchored the presidential inauguration lecture and presidential inaugural ball of President Ahmed Bola Tinubu. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, with a resounding round of applause, I'd like you to join me in welcoming on stage the one and only Madame Eugenia Abu.
Good morning. Thank you. When Mr. James was making those comments, I was looking around to see who he was talking about. It happens all the time. I want to thank him for that introduction. Mr. James Owusu Ansah is the Director of Communication, Africa West Area, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. He has done his needful. Let's give him a round of applause. I'd like at this point to invite a maverick along with her father and her piano tutor to help us deliver one of the finest, as I've seen in rehearsal, delivery of the national anthem. May we rise. may be seated. Please be seated. Thank you very much. I'm going to ask them to remain on stage because it's not every day we see a 9-year-old deliver in that voice that didn't seem to come from her body. Angel Charles Otok is a young classical soprano, opera singer who started her journey in the world of classical music at the age of 6. The prodigy has graced events around Abuja, especially singing her delightful rendition of the Nigerian national anthem and a host of other works from great composers. She blew open the internet with her breathtaking performance of the aria, Queen of the Night, Magic Flute, by Wolf Amadeus Mozart, himself a prodigy. And so today she has performed this with her father on the violin and her piano teacher on the piano. Please let's give them a resounding round of applause. Thank you very much. It's always a delight to see young people do us such honors. Excellencies, members of the National Assembly here present, the representative of His Excellency, Dr. Ifeanyi Ogwuanyi, who is our special guest, Ezi Gburugburu. He is represented today by the former governor of Enugu State, Her Excellency Lolo Cecilia Ezilo, founder Cecilia Ezilo Foundation, who is dressed in all the beautiful Nigerian colors except for the white. It's always good to see you. Welcome. Excellency, representative of the Nasarawa State Governor here present, Honorable David Mayaki, Senior Special Assistant to the Governor of Nasarawa State, the Deputy Lord Mayor of Kanifing Municipality, heads of government and extra-ministerial departments, members of international organizations, members of the diplomatic corps, our esteemed speakers, President S. Guilford Nelson and his lovely wife, Sister Wendy Nelson, President, West Africa Presidency of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. You're most welcome to an event that has been propelled and driven by you. Thank you for coming. Elder I. Raymond Egbo, Director, Seminary and Institute in West Africa, Area 70 of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Elder D. Martin Gori, Area 70 for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. State Presidents of the Church, women organizational advisors, bishops of the Church, Relief Society President, members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, exhibitors, the academia, and the religious gathered here this morning, my lords, spiritual and temporal, distinguished participants, members of the Fourth Estate of the Realm, and they are plentiful. My colleagues in the media are here today, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen. We will talk about how we got to this moment in a short while. But as always, I believe that the first thing that we must always do is to commit this event to prayer. I'd therefore like to welcome, for the opening prayer, Sheikh Suleiman Mohammed Suleiman, Imam, National Security and Civil Defense Corps, Abuja. Sheikh Suleiman, where are you in the room? He's making his way. Let's encourage him as he makes his way to the stage. Would like to thank Sheikh Suleiman, an Imam who looks after our Civil Defense Corps organization in Nigeria. One more round of applause as he makes his way. Thank you.
Good morning, all. We are here to submit this august occasion to the hand of Almighty Allah, for He to guide it through and make it the most successful one. We thank Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving us ability to converge here to discuss one of the fundamental issues that need to be addressed. May He subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all the ability to carry it well and to see it in practice. اللهم إنا نسألك بكل اسم هو لك سميت به نفسك أو أنزلته في كتابك أو استأثرت به في علم الغيب عندك أو علمته أحدا من خلقك أن تجعل القرآن العظيم ربيع قلوبنا وحجة لنا لا علينا وأن تقضي هوائجنا وهوائج أمة المؤمنين جميعا. اللهم ربنا آت نفوسنا تقواها سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Your Excellencies, Mr. President, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank Sheikh Suleiman Mohammed Suleiman, Imam of the National Security and Civil Defense Corps Abuja, for opening up the prayer moment and keeping us all in tune with God at this time. It is a beautiful day in Abuja. Clement weather and beautiful people, excellent ambience, the colors which are my favorite when it comes to nationhood is all over the hall. Green, white, green, the very special colors of Nigeria, where this event is taking place today. As we all know, agriculture is our mainstay, and as we all know, we do strive to be a peaceful nation. And therefore, the green and the white and another white. Over the colors of the nation, you would see families boldly written if you look up at the panels above your head. It is because this is a conference that dwells significantly on families. I'd like to welcome you to the Strengthening Families Conference, organized by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, taking place here at the International Conference Center. And I dare say this would be the first time that this conference started in 2019. We'll be leaving Ghana, where it was domiciled, celebrated, activated from 2019. So Nigeria is pretty pleased to be hosting this particular edition. A round of applause for a nation such as this. I am pretty delighted to have been asked to do the honors today. I'm truly a passionate believer in families, described by social scientists as the smallest unit of society. This is where the most important things happen in life. The most impactful part of your life is in your families. Your socialization, your most significant trajectory in life starts always with your family. This is why the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is to be celebrated today in a world full of complexities, challenges, and toxicity. This conference is much needed. A round of applause for the church for bringing this before us. My name is Eugenia Abu, and as you have already heard, I've been introduced, and I'm very pleased that you could make it to join us today. I've seen the program, and there are exciting moments ahead. There are meetings, there are relationship building, there is so much to learn, too much to share, a panel discussion on families, and some exquisite entertainment. It's not really my place to welcome you all as per formality today. It is a place of a truly special man. A man in conversation in the back room where I sat, who who talked to me about the hierarchy of three of the most important things in his life. Number one, family. Number one, family. Number one, family. After which he said, reading and writing. And I enjoy teaching, impacting, motivating, and showing people the way in inspiration and guidance. The man we're talking about is Elder Christian Chibundu, an Area 70 and a member of the third quorum of the 70 of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints at the April 2019 conference. He's a graduate of Account Finance with a postgraduate degree in International Relations, Strategic Planning from Lagos State University, and a Master of Business Administration in Marketing from the University of Calabar. He has worked as an audit officer for Grant Thornton International Country, general manager for C&I Leasing, Hertz Car Rental UK, managing director and chief executive officer of Coscharis Mobility Limited, Sixt Rentals, Germany, a chartered accountant, a chartered tax practitioner, a chartered transport and logistic practitioner, and a leasing consultant. Elder Chibundu has served in several church callings, and it's my turn now to invite the managing director to come forward and speak to us in the opening comment. Elder Christian Chimezwalam Chibundu makes his stride to deliver what would serve as the opening remark at this very important Strengthening Families Conference. Please welcome him as he makes his way to the podium.
Yeah, Mrs. Engineer, thank you so much for those wonderful works. I was also looking around whom you are describing this afternoon. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I stand on the existing protocols already established by a wonderful master of ceremony. Also pleased to have been given the privilege to offer the opening remark in this wonderful occasion. Several years ago, I have been privileged to participate in this program in Ghana, watch some of them, but I'm happy today it's happening in Nigeria, and especially here in Abuja. I welcome all of you once again to this wonderful occasion. The Strengthening Family Conference was founded 4 years ago as an initiative of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in collaboration with reputable organizations. Over the years, this initiative will have made significant effort to strengthen families, our marriages. This year's theme of conference, which we have seen, is titled Strengthening Marriages. This theme is crucial at a time when the world faces a severe threat to the institution of marriage. It is a known statistic that for every 10 marriages, 1 or 2 cracks after 2 years. Such cracks know no religion, no class, no color. And that is why today we have invited people from different religions, excellencies, and many other people who are participating today. President David Omake several years ago declared, no other success can compensate for failure in the home. This we all know. There's no success in the world today that can compensate success or failures you have in your homes. Family being the fundamental institution of society will be strong if there is a solid marriage relationship. The record has also shown that most individuals who engage in social vices come from broken, unstable families. Simply put, the state of our marriages shapes our families, when then impact our society, state, and a nation. A strong family will create a strong community. A strong community will create a strong state. A strong state will create a strong country. And a strong country will create a wonderful, strong world. President Osoem Nelson, the current president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, said, "Your highest priority is your spouse." He continued, "Your highest personal priority is your spouse. Husband to wife, wife to husband. Your commitment to each other is eternal. Your families, children, and grandchildren are yours forever." Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the commitment you put in your marriage is eternal, it is essential, and very important. Marriage brings greater possibilities for happiness than any other human relationship. Yet, some married couples fell short of their full potentials. They let their romance become rusty, take each other for granted, and allow other interests or clouds of neglect to obscure their vision of what their marriages really could be. Marriage will be happier if nurtured more carefully. Despite the frightening statistics or the challenges marriages face today, there is hope. I know that marriage between a man and a woman is ordained of God, and that the family is central to the Creator's plan for the eternal destiny of his children. And I know that one of the Satan's cunning method of undermining the words of the Lord is to attack the sacred institution of marriage and family. What a greater thing is there for two human beings or souls than to feel that they are joined for life and eternity, to strengthen each other in all labor, to rest on each other, and to sorrow to manifest each other's in silence. Marriage is bringing two uncompleted buildings coming together to form a complete building. They are both uncompleted. They are not perfect. So they come together to form a strong building that nothing will ever shake it, even as they live, even after this earth. At the end of this conference, it is our hope that we will all have inspiration and zeal to support the strengthening of marriage and families. Permit me to share two fundamental words that look very simple, but they can go a long way in strengthening our marriages. Number one, to appreciate. Many marriages today are cracking because of lack of appreciation. Appreciate it. Speak it out. Show it. Don't hide it. Simple words like thank you, I love you, I appreciate what you do can go a long way in strengthening our marriages. Communicate. Communication gap has created a lot of cracks in our marriages. Many couples live in social media. They marry their telephones, they marry their televisions. They are no more marrying their wives. May we avoid the dangers of social media. May we unplug and communicate as husband and wife and families. The third one, counsel together. Ladies and gentlemen, no one is perfect. You need to counsel as couple, discuss as couple, agree as a couple, act as couple. When challenges come, accept those challenges as couples. Avoid blames, because you have counseled together and agreed as one. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, I welcome you to this conference today. And I believe that at the end of this conference, I have said before, we all will leave here edified, strengthened, and learn how we can continue to strengthen our marriages for those that are here and for those that are not here. We love you all, and on behalf of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, we welcome you and thank you for participating. Thank you.
No finer words than that from the man who should know, and who not only puts his family first, but puts his family first. Isn't that wonderful? His family is number one, and so should we all do. He has made a couple of comments that need resonating. The shape of our marriages shape our families. A strong family will give strong communities, and strong communities will build a strong nation. A man whose name indeed reflects who he is. When a man is called Christian, what do you want him to be? Elder Christian Chibundu. Another round of applause for him. I want you to note that you have delivered what will set the tone for all our panels across the remaining 2 days and for today. Because some of the questions and some of the discussions we've had surround making sure the family works, and we appreciate you. I'd like to say, when I recognized Elder Egbo, I had no idea that Sister Comfort Egbo, sitting beside him in a lovely brown earth-like jacket, is his divine wife. I'd like to thank you for coming, Sister Egbo. It's always good to see you. When a man is joined by his wife, the man is strengthened, and that is so. Thank you for coming. Much appreciated. And the gentleman who is seated to the left of Her Excellency, former Deputy Governor of Enugu State, is Honorable Ikechukwu Ezugo, who has joined her as company today. We appreciate your presence. Thank you so very much for coming. And in the family, a wife and husband form an equal partnership in leading and raising a family. Women are leaders, counselors, and missionaries and teachers within the church. They lead congregational prayers in church and their communities, and they contribute to the world as leaders in a variety of professions. But vital and unique to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is the role of the woman in contributing to raising children, which is considered an important responsibility and a special privilege of equal importance to priesthood responsibility. That a woman is given such a heavy role, as it is within our African societies as well, that a woman should be the one to socialize the children, is indeed a place that all nations should be. And I thank you, the church, for the work you've been doing across West Africa, delivering medical equipment, as has happened yesterday, and also providing succor to the less privileged, and ensuring that care is front and center to church activities. We thank you. But having looked at the program from yesterday, I was quite excited to see that one of those things that soothes the mind, that creates relationships, that settles you, even in times of difficulty, across Africa and across the world, has always been music. Music is good for the soul. And because music is good for the soul, in worship, in peace times, during storms, we all remember what our favorite songs are and our songs of worship. It is in lending that thought to this program that we have brought quite a number of musicians. But I'd like to pause a while and just recalibrate to say that the church has been in collaboration in organizing this event with several other collaborators, and I'd like to name a couple. The Ministry of Women Affairs and the Permanent Secretary is represented here today. The National Council of Women's Societies, Gender Unit of the Nigeria Police Force, Domestic Violence and Victim Support Unit of the Ghana Police, the National Commission on Culture, Ghana, the Ministry of Interior, Nigeria, and so many other amazing collaborators. Let's give a round of applause to our collaborators today. Time now, Your Excellencies, Mr. President, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, to bring forward a classical, choral, jazz, and Christian music singer who has a passion for opera music. Currently a member of the Harmonious Chorals Ghana, seasonal house opera, she hopes to pursue an education in vocal performance and become a full-time opera singer someday. Michelle Ajaybe from Ghana. You know, one of the reasons I thought that I might become an opera singer is, they're very divalicious, both in their dressing and in their voice. So when they turn up, there's a lot of beautiful dressing going on to accompany the beautiful voices that they deploy. And Michelle is no different. In a red dress to showcase a blazing moment of glory, here is Michelle Ajaybe. Welcome, and thank you for joining us.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. I'm so grateful to be here with you all today celebrating marriages and families. As she said, I hope to become an opera singer someday. And so for now, my voice would suffice. A little non-opera-ish, but I'm sure you would love it. I'm going to be singing to you The Holy City. I hope you enjoy this.
Last night I lay sleeping, there came a dream so fair. I stood in old Jerusalem, beside the temple there. I heard the children singing, and ever as they sang, methought the voice of angels from every lands around. Methought the voice of angels from heaven lands around. Jerusalem, Jerusalem, lift up your gates on the hill. Hosanna in the highest. Hosanna to your name. And then methought my dream was changed, the streets no longer rang. Hushed with glad hosannas, the little children sang. The sun grew dark with mystery, the morn was cold and chill, as the shadow of a cross arose upon the lonely hill. As the shadow of a cross arose upon the lonely hill. Jerusalem, there seemed to be. I saw the holy city beside the tideless sea. The lights of God were on its streets, the gates were open wide, and onward I turned on, and no one was denied. Neither moon nor stars by night, nor sun to shine by day. It was the new Jerusalem that would not pass away. Thank you.
Absolutely spectacular, isn't it? I told you, first the dress, then the voice, and I'm struggling. However, I do have a broadcast voice for which I'm thankful. Every gift given by God is special to everyone and made to measure, never too much, never too little. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, what a lovely voice from Michelle Ajayegbe. Let her hear the resounding applause in Abuja for her. At this time, I'd like to call a pause on the musical number by the Bonner family. To wait a little bit, let's take something that is in the program that is of absolute importance. I'd like to call on media to stand by the video presentation on what was accomplished during the previous year. For our years before and our years ahead roll into one when we try to accomplish and do better than what we've done the year before. And so here's the video on what was accomplished during the previous year. Take a listen.
In the heart of Lagos State, amidst the challenges of poverty and discrimination, one individual has dedicated herself to bringing hope and joy to the children of the Shogunro community. Meet Ms. Odimba Gloria, a passionate advocate for the rising generation. Ms. Gloria was invited as a guest speaker at the Strengthening the Families Conference in 2021 and 2022, both focused on empowering the youths. During these conferences, she was inspired to make a difference in her own community.
Going to the conference, attending the conference was a turnaround because it showed that you could actually do more, even though I was already doing more in my own mind, but there was a zeal to give more to the society. And so with impacting the lives of children, well, with the case study of the Shoguro community at Iwaya.
And today we are at Iwaya Slum. We are celebrating the Children's Day with them. And we want children to be inspired to know that in spite of their circumstances, their environment, wherever they are coming from, that they can aspire to be more, and they can also inspire others to be more.
In 2022, they worked together to provide scholarships for the underprivileged children of Shogunro. The Children's Day celebration aimed to bring joy, entertainment, and most importantly, a sense of belonging to these children. Thanks to the support of generous sponsors such as UPS, Right Foods, and Boland's Dynamic Kitchen, the event was filled with delicious food, snacks, and drinks. The children were delighted and they were given boxes of snacks to take home, a small token of support from the Feeders Foundation. Additionally, the youth leader of the community, Kolawole Avose, showed his support.
Professor Nipa Feeders Foundation at about 6 years ago, tó ti ń wá sọ́dọ̀ wa, wọ́n ti ṣe nǹkan ribiribi. Wọ́n jẹ́ káwọn ọmọ wa ládùúgbò feel pé yes, àwọn ṣì ní hope.
Meet Unsu Ezekiel Olusegun, the president, founder of the Feeders Foundation.
We want to transform lives through drastic reduction in hunger and also to reduce level of poverty and to instill the passion of participation in development and social services in our people. Above all, the main focus is helping the rising generation.
Adeshola Israel, a beneficiary of the Feeders Foundation, testified of the impact on his life and how he is growing to become a better person in the society.
Children organization, it helps to build up our self-esteem a lot, educate us more on how to develop ourselves for future purpose. And this is what I've done throughout, let me just say, last week. This is what I've done.
The program successfully reached approximately 800 children, providing them with an unforgettable experience and reminding them that they are loved and not forgotten. The Feeders Foundation's commitment to ensuring that underprivileged children are not left behind is truly commendable. Their dedication to education, eliminating hunger, and fighting discrimination is building a brighter future for these children. Together with individuals like Ms. Odimba Gloria and organizations like Feeders Foundation, we can strengthen the rising generation.
Strengthening Families Conference, strengthening marriages. How many Gloria Odimbas are we going to have after this conference? How many of you will be inspired to go to a slum near you and strengthen a family? And for that matter, adopt a child by proxy. And for that matter, look out for children who have no parents. You're strengthening a family by ensuring that you speak words of wisdom to those that are already in their marriages and that need help. You're strengthening families by arranging that we would be the bridge to ensure that families are strengthened in Nigeria, in West Africa, and across the world. It is wonderful to see the work that Gloria Odimba is doing in the Lagos slums. Always a time to ask yourself, what have I done to improve a family or to make a child happy? So we're very pleased that that in itself has taken place and is continuing, because these are sustainable projects that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has been involved with, along with her collaborators. I'd like to remind you that at some point at the end of this program, you must return to those pavilions where our exhibitors are showcasing wellness, are showcasing entrepreneurship, and are showcasing how to empower a woman. You must all go to take a look at the platforms, and they are out there. You can learn a thing or two, and there are freebies. There are wellness regimes that are available, taking care of your health and other such related matters. Please don't forget to stop by on your way out. Having seen that great work that is being done, I would like to inform you that we have so many interesting musical performances that have joined us today. And you know, of course, that we have some musical performances that are permanently on stage, as you can see. The Festival of Praise Choir and Symphony, established in 2008, and is one of the best classical choir and orchestra body in Abuja. The Festival Choir and Orchestra is one of the foremost and upcoming young choristers and orchestra groups in Nigeria to gainfully employ talented Nigeria youths via music. They've been keeping the ambience since we walked into the room. Let's give a hand to this orchestra, Festival of Praise Choir and Symphony. It's time now to bring forward another set of performers. Prepare to listen to the Bonner Family, which is a musical singing group that promotes love and healing through inspirational song. Though they live in various states throughout America, they always come together to give uplifting concerts and education through their music. The faithful singing group has made an impact on the music industry as performers on Broadway, Grammy award-winning songwriters and vocal coaches to platinum-selling recording artists. The Bonner Family, distinguished ladies and gentlemen.
Oh Lord my God, when I in awesome wonder consider all the worlds thy hands have made, I see the stars, I hear the rolling thunder, thy power throughout the universe displayed. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. And when I think of God, his Son not sparing, sent him to die, I scarce can take it in.
Oh, to be a musician. Look at the jaunty hat that she's wearing and the colors that they're wearing. Everybody has a different color to represent something. There's orange, there's magenta, and there's a very, very, very leafy green that one of the ladies is wearing. But you know, what shows us the awesomeness of God is when you can hear three voices that are different ranges and pitches, and then they harmonize, and then they sound like one voice. It's unbelievable. The talent that God has given each and every one. A round of applause for that Bonner family. Doing good and caring for others is what is well known about the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And I'd like to refer you to Act 10:38. And you know the Acts of Apostles 10:38. And you know that God anointed Jesus of Nazareth with the Holy Spirit and with power, how he went about doing good and healing all that were oppressed by the devil, for God was with him. That is a very powerful portion of the Bible, which when you are overwhelmed, sometimes you just need to read quietly in your room to know that God anointed Jesus of Nazareth with the Holy Spirit and with power. And that is the power of faith. And if when you were coming into the room, you didn't stop by to see the writings that talked about how the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and our Muslim brothers have had a relationship over the years, then you've misstepped, because you must go back and read it. The fact that we all come from different faiths does not separate us in color and creed and kind. And the collaboration of the church with other religious bodies is what has propelled it to where it is today, in caring for others and providing succor to the less privileged. How Great Thou Art, by the way, is one of my top 5 favorite hymns in the entire world. And the ladies made sure that I felt it in my bones when they began to sing it. Let's hear it for the ladies who delivered it at premium. We thank you so, so very much indeed. It's time now for us to take another speaker. And this speaker is Sharon Slater, co-founder and president of Family Watch International, a non-profit organization in consultative status with the Economic and Social Council of the United Nations that works to protect families worldwide. Mrs. Slater is the chair of the UN Family Rights Caucus and has served as an informal consultant to over 70 governments on life, human sexuality, family policy issues. She is the author of the book, Stand for the Family, a call to responsible citizens everywhere. She also serves on the board of directors for the Political Network for Values. And if you open to page 30, you will see the rest of her resume. Help me give a warm Abuja welcome to Mrs. Sharon Slater. So the gentlemen around me will help her up, because the staircase is a bit tricky for women, and I wear a lot of high heels, so she's managed on her own. Round of applause.
Thank you. It is such an honor to be here. I love Nigeria. I love strengthening families. So what is not to love about this conference? Your Excellencies, high-level government officials, religious leaders, mothers, fathers, youth, the media, all the many people that are here, we are grateful that I'm very grateful that I can be here to spread this important message of the protection of the family. Because I have lots of slides, you're going to see me go back here so I can keep up with the slides at the same time as I talk to you. So, let's see. Hopefully. Okay, there we go. Okay. Can you hear me? That's good? Okay. So, today I'm going to talk to you about the case for the protection of the family. I'm going to share 2 major threats to the family and 10 ways to strengthen and immunize your family against these threats. So you're going to need your seatbelts for part of this to fasten it, because we're going to go for a ride. But first, I want to introduce my family. This is the Slater family, and you will notice that my family is part African. We adopted 3 children from Mozambique, and so our family has a vested interest in what happens to families on this continent. The case for the protection of the family. Family Watch has something called consultative status at the United Nations, which means we have a front row seat to what's happening in the negotiations on families and family issues day in and day out at the United Nations. We work with the pro-family countries. Let's see. Yes. We work with the pro-family countries at the United Nations. This is an event celebrating the International Day of the Family. It was called Uniting Nations for Uniting Families for a Family-Friendly World, and this is the kind of thing we do to promote the family at the United Nations. There are 5 binding treaties, United Nations treaties, that call for the protection of the family by all UN member states. And the Universal Declaration on Human Rights says that the family is the natural and fundamental group unit of society, and it declares that the family is entitled to protection by society and state. And that parents have a prior right to guide the education of their children. This is the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, a binding treaty that also declares that parents have the primary responsibility for the upbringing and development of the child. Now I'm going to play a video for you. It's called The Family and Sustainable Development, Strong Families, Prosperous Nations. This is something Family Watch created to show the critical role of the family in achieving the UN Sustainable Development Goals. The motto for Family Watch is promoting family-based solutions to world problems. So let's go ahead with this short video.
In 2015, world leaders from over 190 countries gathered at the United Nations and committed to a bold 15-year plan of action with 17 goals for people, the planet, and prosperity. Known as the UN Sustainable Development Goals, this plan aims to create a world free of poverty, hunger, disease, and want. A world where each country enjoys sustainable economic growth. A world without violence and where women and girls are empowered. A world where a good education is accessible to all. But how are nations to accomplish these lofty goals? According to the United Nations Resolution on the Protection of the Family, these goals will be difficult to attain unless the strategies to achieve them focus on the family. This is because, as the Family Resolution also states, the family contributes to eradicating poverty and hunger, achieving universal primary education, promoting gender equality, empowering women, reducing child mortality, and more. Yet, unfortunately, the contribution of the family in the achievement of development goals continues to be largely overlooked, despite the fact that the family is key to solving many world problems. Research shows that men, women, and children do better when it comes to health, wealth, and education when they are part of a strong, stable family. Indeed, the wealth of nations depends in no small part on the health of its families. Take education. Across the globe, children living with their 2 parents are more likely to be successful in school. In countries across the world, from Indonesia to Singapore to Sweden, children were about 40% less likely to be held back in school if they lived with 2 parents compared to just 1. Kids benefit from having the attention, time, and resources of both a mother and a father when it comes to excelling in school. Thus, strong families make for successful students. What about children's health? In much of the world, family instability is associated with higher levels of disease, stunted growth, and child mortality. A global study from Child Trends shows that kids in Africa, Asia, and Latin America from intact homes are almost 1/5 less likely to die than children whose mothers divorced or remarried. The resources, stability, and lower levels of stress typically provided in a two-parent family benefits the health of kids. Thus, strong families make for healthier children. Take the empowerment of girls. Having a family with a father present is a protective factor against adolescent girls being sexually active or abused. From the United States to Kenya, we know that teenage girls without a father are 2 times more likely to get pregnant. Good fathers provide their daughters with the affection, attention, and guidance they need to be safer and healthier. Thus, strong families make for girls with brighter futures. What about development? Countries with more married parent families enjoy higher levels of economic growth. Indeed, a study sponsored by the Social Trends Institute finds that the family factor is one of the best predictors of growth in countries across the world. Undoubtedly, one reason growth is higher in countries with more married parent families is because children do better in stable, intact families. Men also tend to work harder, smarter, and more successfully when they are married. Thus, strong families make for successful, wealthier nations. Clearly, the family plays a key role in achieving the UN Sustainable Development Goals. And since governments can never adequately compensate for the irreplaceable role of the family, nations have a vested interest in protecting this natural and fundamental unit of society. Because as the family goes, so go the children, so goes the nation, so goes the world.
There we go. The audio it was distorted a little bit. You can find this video at familywatch.org. So, at the United Nations, there is a group of nations who have formed a coalition called Group of Friends of the Family, and they stand for the family at the United Nations during negotiations day in and day out. And as you can see, Nigeria is part of this coalition. In fact, did you know that Nigeria is the #1 country standing up for the family at the United Nations? Nigeria leads the African voting bloc, and all the other nations follow. In fact, just in March, we co-sponsored with the government of Nigeria this event, Safeguarding Children, Culture, and the Family in International Laws, Policies, and Programs. This was held at the Nigeria House. And here you have in the middle our hero, Ambassador Nnamdi from Nigeria, who has been leading the charge for the protection of the family under very difficult situations at the United Nations. I just met with him here in Abuja yesterday because he's now back in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. But you have another diplomat that I'm sure will continue to lead the charge. Thank you to Nigeria for standing so strong. This is a UN event, and on the left you'll see Elder Bruce C. Hafen, the former Dean of Brigham Young University Law School. Now, we have brought him to the United Nations because he promotes that the family is the first protector of children's health and rights. This is an event we held at the UN Human Rights Council, and he helps us understand that one of the threats that we're going to get to. We can get next slide. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the 2 threats, and Elder Hafen says that there is a huge distortion of human rights. This is threat number 1, where human wrongs that undermine the family are being promoted as human rights. And he says there's confusion. When somebody says, I stand for children's rights, what do they mean? Because there's 2 kinds of children's rights. There's the kind that we all support, children's protection rights, things like clean water, food, sanitation, to have a family. Then there's the autonomous children's rights that are being promoted. They're really fictitious rights. They're really adult rights they're trying to give to children, like privacy and confidentiality from their parents, the right to association, sexual expression, sexual orientation, gender identity. these are all being promoted at the United Nations. And under that human right that they say children have to these sexual rights is something called comprehensive sexuality education. This is the number 2 threat to children and the family, also known as CSE. We have an entire documentary you can find at stopcsc.org to learn more about this agenda. But just briefly, it is the number 1 tool of the global sexual rights agenda. It's the sexual rights approach to sex education. And sadly, they're after your children. They know if they can get the children, they will have the future families of the world. They know if they can sexualize the children, it will be much harder for them to form stable families in the future. They're after their minds and hearts. And they do this again through comprehensive sexuality education, which teaches children about all these things: gender identities, pleasures, desires, fantasies, eroticisms, and so forth. Now back to my family. These are the 3 children we met in Mozambique when we were coming for a humanitarian project, Luis, Amelia, and Afonso. And when we met them, their mother had just died of AIDS recently, and their father 2 years previous to that, and they were in an orphanage. And we would go back and forth because this adoption took 7 years. So I'd go back and forth to Mozambique. And during that process, I learned about comprehensive sexuality education on the ground and what they were trying to teach. Amelia, 9 years old, came home with a backpack in Mozambique with very highly inappropriate graphic materials. And I wondered who could possibly be giving this to a child that young. Then I went back to the United Nations and I went to an event for children and I found this manual. It's called Healthy, Happy, and Hot, and it's produced by International Planned Parenthood Federation. And it teaches children that if they are infected with HIV, they still have sexual rights. They have a right to sexual pleasure, and they don't even have to tell their sexual partners that they are infected with the HIV virus. This is unconscionable. I cared for these children's older brother during the last stages of his AIDS. And this is something that nobody should have to suffer. This is the main manual being pushed by the United Nations for sexuality education called the International Technical Guidance. It's backed by the firepower of all these UN agencies. And just a glimpse into it, it teaches children that abstinence is not just abstaining from sex, but it also means deciding with whom you're going to have sex with and when for children. Teaching children that they should respect promiscuity, respect that each person might be sexually active, and to differentiate between the values that the child holds and that their parents hold with regard to sexuality, separating children from their parents' values, which is part of the purpose. And they use stealth tactics across the world and in Africa. This is the Eastern Southern African Manual published by UNFPA, telling children they need to think carefully about what their values are because they might be different from their parents. Again, this values deconstruction. And then they'll teach them values like this: in my body is my own. That governments should allow children to have sex with each other if they're of similar age, and they should not criminalize this. And this agenda is all across Ghana, Africa, many different African countries, but all across Nigeria. We don't have time to go into detail, but I do have a full webinar on this you could see. But Planned Parenthood Federation of Nigeria, again, is at the center of this, under the banner of sexual and reproductive health and rights. That's the distortion of rights, saying that CSE is a right for children. And this is backed by all these UN agencies, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, major philanthropists. This is a powerful agenda. In fact, the Ford Foundation gave $56 million for West Africa to promote these sexual and reproductive health and rights, including CSE. They gave $5 million just in Nigeria. And this is what they mean by these sexual and reproductive health and rights, that young people are going to learn to talk openly about sexuality, sexual autonomy, pleasure, bodily integrity, and gender identity in Nigeria. Okay? And this woman who was over this program then was appointed to be the executive director of UNFPA for the work that she was doing. But people are rising up all across Africa to protect their children from this agenda. This is Kenya. This is Ambassador Sarki, the former ambassador from Nigeria to the United Nations, who also led the charge and got even an entire UN document thrown out because he led the African voting bloc in opposing comprehensive sexuality education. The Ghanaian bishops that were rejecting it in Ghana. This is a march in South Africa against CSE. And this is why when we found this rapid across Africa, Family Watch founded Family Watch Africa. And we now have 10 coalitions in these different countries, including one in Nigeria, designed to expose and stop this harmful agenda that's destroying our children. So now we come to the positive parts of what you can do to protect your own children and your families. 10 ways to strengthen and immunize them against these assaults. And these come from my book, Stand for the Family. We're going to offer to you at this conference this book for free, an electronic copy, if you come to our booth. Our luggage didn't come with all of our booth materials. It's coming tonight, so you'll have to come by our booth tomorrow, or we'll be sitting there without our materials today. But we'd like to empower you with this book and quickly summarize for you the 10 ways you can immunize your family against these threats and your children. Eat dinner together as a family on a regular basis. Find out what's happening in your children's lives. These are all backed by social science that these will help your children withstand these temptations. Set aside a date night. You know, the best thing a father can do for his children is love his mother, and the best thing is the mother can do is to love the father and provide a stable marriage. That's what all the research shows. Dedicate at least one night each week to your family. Children need quantity time, but in addition to quality time, they need quantity time. In addition to quantity time, they need quality time. So they also need you as parents to spend time with them one-on-one. I was in a parenting class, and every time there was a behavior problem that a parent brought up, the instructor would say, go spend one-on-one time with that child. And you know what? They would come back and say, yeah, things are going really great now. Pray together. This cannot be overemphasized, what this can do. Criticize less and praise more. Look for the good. Talk to your children about sex and share your family values. This is proven to be a protective factor. Work together. Do service together as a family, and never, never give up on a family member. I'd also want to share with you a coalition that we've started. Already 100 organizations have joined us in Africa. The Empowered Youth Coalition. You can go to empoweredyouthcoalition.org and join as an individual, an organization. We're uniting youth and young adults across the globe to stand for life and family. Please come to our booth and learn more. But I'm going to end with the way I started, with my family. We have a theme song at Family Watch. It's called Save the Family. I'm not going to sing it to you, but I'll end with some of the lines. It is the family is the beating heart that keeps the nation strong. If families fail, then nations fall, and all that's good is gone. The time is here. The time is now for everyone to see that if we are to save the world, we must save the family. Please join with us to protect Africa's children, who will be the future families of this continent. Thank you.
Together, let's protect Africa's children and families. Mrs. Slater has spent her time and taken the time to explain a lot of the things that needs to be done to keep families together. She has gone to the SDGs, Strong Families, Prosperous Nations. And she has explained that parents do have a priority right to determine the kind of education their children are getting. And this is because every parent wants the best for their children. So it is important. We can't be too busy for our families. Eat together and pray together. Have date night for parents. That's my favorite, all time. My children do try. They take me and my husband out from time to time. But now that Mrs. Slater has made it a point of duty to point it out, I shall target my children to say to them, you have to increase it. If it's twice a month, you now have to do 4 times a month. And this is important, because we've always fed them, haven't we? They should feed us too, isn't it, Mrs. Slater? Mrs. Slater has made a truly powerful point by saying we should criticize less and praise more. We should never, ever give up on